The courier ship descended through fire. Warnings blared across every frequency as plasma bombardment turned the sky white. The hull screamed with heat. Inside the cockpit, Sergeant Marcus Chen gripped the controls and watched debris from shattered defense stations tumble past his viewport. Behind him, sealed in an atmospheric container that hummed with emergency power, sat a single envelope. Just an envelope. The entire fleet had died to get it here. Chen didn't know what the envelope contained. He'd stopped 5 assassination attempts, survived 3 ambushes, and watched his squadron dissolve into expanding clouds of vapor. The orders were absolute. Deliver to Queen Valora Shen. No exceptions. No delays, planetary bombardment or not. His targeting computer lost lock as another energy spike vaporized the atmosphere ahead. The ship bucked. Metal shrieked. He forced the nose down, aiming for the palace coordinates that kept flickering in and out of existence as electromagnetic pulses rolled across the surface. The planet below wasn't supposed to look like this. Intelligence briefings had shown gleaming cities, architectural marvels that bent light and gravity into beauty. Now those cities were craters. The Zethrak Armada had arrived 6 hours ago and immediately begun systematic extermination. They'd ignored all diplomatic channels. Just started burning. Chen's ship punched through the lower atmosphere. The palace appeared through smoke, half its western wing collapsed, gardens aflame. But the central tower still stood. The targeting beacon still pulsed. Good enough. He brought the ship down in what used to be a reflecting pool. Steam erupted around the landing struts. Before the engines fully cycled down, Chen grabbed the container and ran. The building's main entrance gaped open. Blast doors twisted off their hinges. Bodies littered the grand hall. Guards and civilians mixed together in the awful democracy of sudden death. He stepped over them without looking down. Protocol dictated he announce himself. Protocol was written for times when the sky wasn't actively catching fire. Chen moved through corridors that hadn't existed in his briefing files. Structural damage had turned the palace into a maze. He followed the beacon signal, letting the locator guide him through rubble and smoke. Twice he encountered wounded survivors who pointed wordlessly deeper into the complex. They recognized the courier insignia on his suit. They knew what it meant. The throne room doors hung open. Beyond them, in a space designed to hold thousands, Chen found 17 people. 12 royal guards in scorched armor formed a perimeter around a central dais. 3 advisors worked frantically at a portable communication array that sparked and flickered, and on the throne, perfectly still, sat Queen Valora Shen. She was smaller than he'd expected. The holographic briefings had made her seem imposing, alien features rendered in cold light. In person, she looked young. Her secondary eyes tracked his approach while her primary gaze remained fixed on the tactical display one of her advisors held. Your Majesty. Chen crossed the distance at a run, boots echoing in the cavernous space. Military Courier Service, Earth Embassy. I know what you have. Her voice carried no accent in the translator. I've been tracking your descent for the past hour. 3 ships attempted to intercept you. Your survival probability was calculated at 0.02%. The package, Your Majesty. He extended the container. His hands didn't shake. That would come later, if there was a later. She didn't take it. Instead, one of her guards stepped forward, scanning the container with devices Chen didn't recognize. The scanning took 20 seconds that felt like years. Overhead, something massive detonated. The throne room shuddered. Dust rained from the vaulted ceiling. The guard nodded. Valora Shen finally stood, descending from the dais with movements that seemed too fluid for the gravity. She took the container herself, her 6-fingered hands careful on the seals. The envelope inside was simple. Human paper, human ink. No special markings. She read it in silence. Her expression didn't change, but every guard in the room suddenly stood straighter. The advisors stopped their frantic work and turned to watch. Something had shifted in the air itself. Sergeant Chen. The Queen folded the letter with precise movements. You will remain here. Your courier obligation is fulfilled, but I require witnesses for what comes next. Yes, Your Majesty. She walked to the communication array, still sparking and unstable. One of her advisors began to protest. She silenced him with a gesture. Her fingers moved across the controls, entering codes that made the device pulse with light. The signal it generated was strong enough that Chen felt it as pressure in his teeth. Above the array, a holographic communication sphere materialized. Distorted by interference, crackling with static but functional. On the other end, a face appeared. Angular. Predatory. Scaled. The Zethrak fleet commander, "This channel is not authorized," the commander said. His translated voice held contempt. "Your surrender must go through— I am Queen Valora's, Shen of the Meridian Sovereignty," she interrupted. "And I am not calling to surrender. I am calling to inform you that you have made a catastrophic diplomatic error." She held up the envelope. 47 minutes ago, I became the legal guardian of Princess Sarah Chen, age 7, citizen of Earth. She is currently in this palace. Under the terms of the Galactic Protection Accords, any hostile action against this location is now an act of war against humanity. The commander's face twisted. "That is already filed with the Galactic Council, already transmitted to the human fleet." Valora Shen's voice remained perfectly level. "They received confirmation 3 minutes ago. Admiral Zhao sends her regards. She estimates her ships will arrive in approximately 42 minutes. The hologram flickered. In the background, Chen could see sudden movement on the Zethrak command deck. "You would start a war over one child?" The commander's voice rose. "Over a technicality? No." Valora Sheen's expression finally changed. She smiled. "You did. When you began bombardment of a location housing a human child without diplomatic clearance. I merely accepted her family's offer of protection. Everything that happens next is on you, Commander." The transmission cut off. In orbit, Chen knew the Zethrak were already running calculations. Humanity's reputation in warfare was well documented. The thought of facing Earth's military over what was supposed to be a minor border conflict would be causing panic in their fleet coordination. "Good." Valorishan turned to one of her guards. "Take Sergeant Chen to the secure vault. Bring Princess Sarah. If they resume bombardment, we will need to—" The building shook again, harder this time. But through the shattered walls, Chen could see it. The Zethrak ships, their engines flaring bright as they pulled back from bombardment positions, retreating to defensive formation, waiting to see if humanity would actually come. The Queen saw it too. She nodded once, satisfied. "Sergeant Chen, you delivered more than a letter. You delivered a shield. I hope your people appreciate the faith I've placed in their arrival time." Chen thought about Admiral Zhao, about the human tendency to respond to threats against children with overwhelming, disproportionate force, about what would happen if those ships didn't arrive in time. Then he thought about what would happen if they did. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "in my experience, humans take promises to children very seriously." If Admiral Zhao said 42 minutes, she meant 42 minutes. Somewhere in the palace depths, a child laughed. The sound was startlingly normal against the backdrop of war. A human child, safe under the protection of an alien queen, while overhead an invasion fleet retreated from the specter of human retribution. The queen's smile widened. "Then we wait. Guards defensive positions. Maintain all shields on the vault section. And someone please find Princess Sarah a safer location than the—" She stopped. Her expression shifted from command to exasperation in the space of a heartbeat. A small figure appeared in the throne room entrance. Human, maybe 7 years old, wearing a dress that seemed absurdly formal for a war zone. Her hair was bound in elaborate braids that someone had taken considerable time to arrange. She walked with perfect posture, hands folded in front of her. Behind her, looking apologetic and stressed, came a Meridian guard whose armor showed signs of recent child wrangling. "Your Majesty," the guard began. "She insisted. I know the protocols," the child said. Her voice carried across the throne room with surprising clarity. "When someone delivers important papers, the protected party must acknowledge receipt. That's me. I'm the protected party now." Valorishan stared at her. "You are 7 years old and this building is actively being destroyed." "I'm 7.5. Sarah Chen walked forward with deliberate steps. "And my Uncle Marcus came very far to deliver your letter." "I should say thank you." The Queen looked at Chen. "Uncle?" "Brother's child, Your Majesty. He and his wife died 6 months ago. Cargo hauler accident near the asteroid belt. Sarah's been with foster services since. When your office sent out the protection request through diplomatic channels, he trailed off. The rest was obvious. A queen needed a human child for legal protection. A human child needed a guardian who could keep her safe. The foster care system had facilitated a match that should have been impossible. Bureaucracy at its finest, turning tragedy into mutual survival." "I see." Valorishan knelt, bringing herself to the child's eye level. "Princess Sarah, you are correct about protocol. I acknowledge receipt of your guardianship papers and accept the responsibility that comes with them." But you must understand this means I can't go home, Sarah said simply. Uncle Marcus explained. Earth is far away and you need me here so the bad ships leave. It's okay. You seem nice. The Queen's expression did something complex. Her species didn't emote the same way humans did, but Chen thought he recognized the look anyway. The same one he'd worn when he first read Sarah's file and saw her picture. You are a very brave girl, Valorishan said softly. I'm scared. Sarah's voice remained steady. But Uncle Marcus says sometimes you have to be scared and do things anyway. That's what brave means. The building shook again, lighter this time. Warning shots. The Zethrak testing to see if the Queen was bluffing. Through the walls, Chen heard the defensive batteries returning fire, keeping the fleet at bay. 38 minutes until the human fleet arrived, if they arrived. Sarah noticed her uncle's tension. They'll come, she said, with the absolute certainty of a child who'd been promised something. Admiral Zhao told me herself. She said she'd bring the whole fleet if she had to. She's my mom's friend. She doesn't lie. Valoris Shan stood, making a decision. Then we will trust Admiral Zhao. Guards, escort Princess Sarah to the vault. Sergeant Chen, you will accompany her. I want humanity's military courier present to verify we maintained our protection obligations. Your Majesty, my orders? Your orders were to deliver the document? You did. Now your orders are to witness that the document's promises are being honored. Understood? Chen understood. If things went wrong, if the bombardment resumed and the palace fell, he would be there. A human witness. Someone who could testify about what happened to Sarah Chen. It would matter after. It would matter a lot. Understood, Your Majesty. Sarah took his hand as they followed the guards deeper into the palace. Her palm was small and warm. She didn't ask questions about the damage they passed, the bodies being carried away, the smell of smoke that permeated everything. She just held tight and kept walking. The vault was deep underground, a chamber carved from bedrock and reinforced with technology Chen didn't recognize. The walls hummed with power. Atmospheric processors kept the air fresh. A small living area had been hastily assembled, probably in the hours since the invasion began. As the vault doors sealed behind them, cutting off the sounds of battle, Sarah finally spoke again. Do you think Admiral Zhao will be mad at the bad ships? Chen knelt beside his niece. Yeah, I think she'll be very mad. Good. Sarah settled onto a cushioned bench, smoothing her dress with careful movements. They hurt the Queen's people. They should get in trouble. Through the vault's communication system, Chen could hear updates filtering in. The Zethrak fleet had stopped advancing but hadn't retreated. They were holding position, calculating. Above, the Queen maintained her throne room position, refusing to hide, making herself visible to any scans. Proving the protection was real? 32 minutes. Chen sat beside Sarah, and they waited. Around them, a handful of essential personnel moved quietly, monitoring systems, tracking orbital positions. Nobody spoke unnecessarily. The tension was a physical thing. Sarah leaned against his shoulder. Tell me about the stars, she whispered. It was a game they'd played in foster care. When things got scary, when the grief threatened to overwhelm a 7-year-old who'd lost everything, he would describe the stars, the places he'd seen as a courier, the wonders that waited beyond Earth's atmosphere. So he told her. Quietly, under the hum of defensive shields and the distant rumble of weapons fire, he described nebulae that painted space in colors Earth had no names for. Space stations that rotated to create gravity. Ships that could cross the void between stars. 20 minutes. Above them, something impacted the palace's upper levels. The vault shuddered. Dust drifted from the ceiling seams. Sarah's hand tightened on his, but she didn't stop listening. He told her about the first time he'd seen a supernova remnant. About the way starlight bent around massive ships. About the moment when you broke atmosphere and the whole universe opened up before you. 10 minutes. The vault's communication system crackled. Valorishan's voice came through, calm and measured. All positions, maintain current stance. No provocation. We are entering the critical window. Sarah lifted her head. Is that when Admiral Zhao comes? That's when she's supposed to come, Chen said carefully. She'll come. Still that absolute certainty, she promised. 5 minutes. The bombardment had stopped. The sudden silence was worse than the noise. Either the Zethrak were retreating or preparing for a final assault. Either humanity was about to arrive or they were about to die. Chen checked his service chronometer. 4 minutes. Sarah started counting down quietly. She'd seen enough military operations around her uncle to know how timing worked. 2 minutes, 1 minute, the vault sensors screamed. Multiple massive gravity signatures. Emergency lighting kicked in as the power grid fluctuated. Through the communication system, Chen heard controlled chaos in the command center. Voices calling out positions, weapon signatures, ship classifications. Then Valorishan's voice tinged with something that might have been relief. The humans are here. Sarah stood up, looking at Chen with complete vindication. See? The tactical display activated, showing the orbital space above the planet. The Zethrak fleet was there, scattered in defensive positions. And now, emerging from faster-than-light transit, came the human ships. Not a few ships. The entire Third Fleet. 47 vessels ranging from destroyers to dreadnoughts, their weapon systems already online, their targeting systems painting every Zethrak ship with enough kill locks to turn the entire fleet into expanding debris fields. At the formation center, massive and unmistakable, was Admiral Zhao's flagship, the Retribution, a name the Zethrak would learn to respect. The communication system chimed. A new voice, human, female, professionally furious. Zethrak Fleet Commander, this is Admiral Zhao of the Third Fleet, Earth Navy. You are currently conducting hostile military operations against a location housing a human child under legal protection. You have 30 seconds to power down all weapons and prepare for diplomatic arbitration. Failure to comply will be interpreted as an act of war against humanity. The response came almost immediately, the Zethrak commander's voice tight, with barely controlled anger. This is a sovereign operation against a legitimate military. 20 seconds, Admiral Zhao interrupted. I don't care about your justifications. I care that you're shooting at a building containing Princess Sarah Chen. 19 seconds. Chen watched the display. Every Zethrak ship had suddenly found itself targeted by multiple human vessels. The power differential was absurd. The Third Fleet could end the entire Zethrak presence in minutes. This is not proportional response, the commander tried. We have sovereignty in this sector. 10 seconds. I'm going to be very clear, Commander. I made a promise to a 7-year-old girl that I would keep her safe. She's currently scared and hiding in a vault because you decided to bomb her new home. 9 seconds. 8. Sarah watched the display with wide eyes.
She sounds really mad.
She is, Chen confirmed. 7. 6. 5. On the display, Zethrak ships began powering down weapons. One by one, their systems went to standby. The entire invasion fleet, brought to heel by the simple threat of human intervention. 4. 3. Every Zethrak weapon offline. Energy signatures dropping, the fleet hanging in space like puppets with cut strings. Admiral Zhao let the silence stretch. When she spoke again, her voice carried absolute authority. Better. Now, here's what happens next. You will withdraw your fleet to the system's edge. You will maintain communication silence except for navigation necessary to avoid collisions. And you will wait while I discuss with Queen Valorishan exactly what diplomatic compensation you'll be providing for this catastrophic error in judgment. The Zethrak commander made one more attempt. The Galactic Council will receive my full report on how you initiated combat operations without verifying the diplomatic status of your target location. I'm sure they'll be fascinated. Now move your ships before I change my mind about proportional response. The Zethrak fleet began to move. Slowly, carefully, retreating to the positions Admiral Zhao had specified. 47 human warships tracked every movement, weapons still online, patients clearly exhausted. The communication system chimed again. This time, Admiral Zhao's voice came through on a private channel. Queen Valorishan, Admiral Zhao. I apologize for the delayed arrival. We had to modify our approach vector to ensure complete fleet coverage. Admiral. The Queen's voice carried undisguised relief. Your timing was impeccable. And your restraint was appreciated. I had concerns you might simply fire on arrival. I considered it. But Princess Sarah made me promise to be diplomatic first. Something about how violence should be a last resort, not a first choice. Apparently her school has very progressive conflict resolution training. In the vault, Sarah beamed. I told her that, she whispered to Chen. The princess is well? Zhao asked. She is secure in our protected vault. Sergeant Chen is with her. Good. Marcus, you alive down there? Chen activated his communication link. Yes, ma'am. Package delivered as ordered. The princess is unharmed and asking when she can see your ship. Tell her soon. First, I need to explain to the Zethrak exactly how much they're going to regret today. Then, I'm coming down there personally to verify protection conditions and discuss long-term security arrangements with Her Majesty. Understood, Admiral. The connection shifted back to open channel. Chen could hear Zhao already working, her command staff coordinating with Meridian forces, establishing orbital security patterns, setting up the framework for what would become a very uncomfortable diplomatic negotiation for the Zethrak. Sarah tugged his sleeve. Can we go up now? I want to see the Queen. Let's wait for the all clear, Chen said. The palace is still damaged. It might not be safe. But even as he said it, the vault's communication system activated again. Valorishan's voice, now addressing the palace personnel. All clear. Immediate threat has passed. Begin damage assessment and casualty recovery. Medical teams to priority stations. And someone please escort Princess Sarah and Sergeant Chen to the throne room. I believe we have matters to discuss. The vault doors unsealed with a heavy mechanical sound. Beyond them, the palace corridors looked even worse than before, damage from near misses and structural stress. But guards were already at work, clearing debris, marking safe passages. Sarah took Chen's hand again as they navigated the destruction. She didn't flinch at the damage, just walked with that same careful dignity, dressed somehow still perfect despite everything. The throne room had gained occupants. More guards, more advisors, emergency personnel establishing temporary communication arrays. The hole in the ceiling now showed clear sky, the smoke from bombardment clearing, and through that gap, visible in orbit, the human fleet maintained position. Valora Shen remained on her throne, but she stood as Sarah entered. Princess Sarah, I am glad you are unharmed. Thank you for keeping me safe, Sarah said, performing a curtsy that someone had clearly taught her. I'm sorry your home got hurt. The Queen descended from the dais, moving to Sarah's level again. Homes can be rebuilt. The important thing is that you are well. That we are all well. Thanks in part to your Admiral Zhao and her very persuasive fleet. She gets mad when people hurt kids, Sarah said matter-of-factly. It's one of her things. Uncle Marcus says everyone has things.
A wise observation.
Valora Shen glanced at Chen. Sergeant, your orders were to deliver a document. You succeeded in considerably more. You brought hope when we had little, and you provided proof that the protection was genuine. I am grateful. Just doing my job, Your Majesty. The Queen's expression was serious. You did far more than your job required. You will be properly recognized, I assure you. A communication alert chimed. One of the advisors spoke quietly. Your Majesty, Admiral Zhao's shuttle is requesting landing clearance. She wishes to come aboard. Granted. Clear the eastern landing pad. It sustained least damage. Valora Shen looked at Sarah. Would you like to meet the Admiral in person? Sarah nodded eagerly. Yes, please. They moved through the palace to the landing pad, a procession of Queen, Princess, courier, and guards. The pad showed signs of bombardment, scorch marks, and small craters, but the surface was intact. Above, a human shuttle descended with practiced precision. The shuttle touched down with barely a tremor. The boarding ramp descended, and Admiral Zhao emerged. She was tall, lean, her uniform immaculate despite the rapid deployment. Her expression was professionally neutral until she saw Sarah. Then something softened. Princess Sarah Chen, she said formally. I'm glad to see you safe. Sarah ran to her, forgetting all protocol. Zhao caught her, lifting the child easily.
You came, Sarah said, just like you promised.
Of course I came. I told you I would. Zhao held her for a moment, then set her down gently. She approached Valora Shen, offering a formal military salute. Your Majesty, Admiral Zhao, 3rd Fleet, here to discuss security arrangements and diplomatic resolution. Welcome to what remains of the palace. Please, follow me. We have much to discuss. They moved back inside, to a chamber that had survived mostly intact. Maps and tactical displays covered the walls. Valora Shen's advisors had already begun preliminary assessments of damage and casualties. The numbers were grim. Zhao studied the displays with professional attention. The Zethrak did significant damage before we arrived. I'm sorry we couldn't get here sooner. You arrived exactly when needed, Valora Shen said. Had you come earlier, they might have questioned whether the protection was genuine. Your timing forced them to retreat rather than test our resolve. Still, These casualties, Zhao's expression hardened. The Zethrak will provide restitution, I'll make certain of it. Revenge won't rebuild what was lost. No, but accountability might prevent them from trying this again. Zhao turned to one of her aides. Get me Galactic Council channels. I want this formally filed as an unprovoked assault on a diplomatic protection zone. And get me Earth Command. They'll want a full report on why we just parked the Third Fleet in Meridian space. The aide saluted and moved to establish connections. Zhao returned her attention to the Queen. Now, let's discuss the reality of this situation. Princess Sarah's protection is legally binding, but maintaining that protection requires practical considerations. I have ships. You have a damaged palace. We need to coordinate. I agree. I propose. Sarah tugged at Zhao's sleeve. Both women stopped, looking down at the child who had somehow become the center of galactic diplomacy. Yes, Princess? Zhao asked. Can I help rebuild? Sarah's voice was quiet but determined. It got hurt because of me. I should help fix it. Valorishan knelt beside her. It was hurt because of war, not because of you. You hold no responsibility for what happened here. But I'm a princess now, right? That's what the papers said. And princesses help their people. That's what they do. Zhao and Valorishan exchanged a look. Chen recognized it. The look adults shared when a child said something that was simultaneously innocent and profound. You are correct, the Queen said slowly. A princess does help her people, and there will be much work to do. But for now, your job is to be safe and to let the adults handle the dangerous parts. Can you do that? I guess. Sarah didn't look convinced. But when it's safe, I want to help. Then you will. Valorishan stood. You have my word. The chamber's communication system activated. A new voice filtered through translation protocols. The Zethrak commander. Admiral Zhao, we wish to discuss terms of withdrawal. Zhao's expression went cold. Commander, I have a list of terms. You're going to find them non-negotiable. First, immediate full withdrawal from Meridian space. Second, formal apology to Queen Valorishan and Princess Sarah Chen. Third, reparations for all damage caused during your illegal bombardment. Fourth, these terms are unacceptable. We had legitimate concerns about Meridian territorial, Commander. Zhao's voice cut through the protest like a blade. Let me be absolutely clear. You bombed a building containing a human child. Your concerns became irrelevant the moment you did that. Now you have two choices. Accept my terms, or I explain to the Galactic Council why the Third Fleet needed to neutralize an active threat to human life. Which option sounds better to you? Silence on the channel. Chen could imagine the calculations happening on the Zethrak command deck. Fighting humanity over territorial concerns was one thing. Fighting humanity over a documented attack on a child under formal protection was something else entirely. We will review your terms, the commander finally said. You have 1 hour. Zhao out. She terminated the connection and turned to Valorishan. Apologies for the brevity, but time limits encourage decision-making. I noticed. The Queen's expression might have been amusement. You are very certain they will comply, because if they don't, my government will ensure every species in the galaxy knows that the Zethrak deliberately targeted a child under protection. Their diplomatic position would become untenable. Using the child as a shield. Using the child as exactly what she is. A person under legal protection who is endangered by military action. There's no manipulation here, Your Majesty, just consequences for their choices. Valorishan nodded slowly. I see why your people are feared. You turn moral clarity into a weapon. When necessary. Zhao glanced at Sarah, who was studying a tactical display with serious attention. But in this case, there's nothing weaponized about it. They hurt people. They hurt her home. They face consequences. It's simple. Simple. The Queen's tone suggested she found humanity's approach to simplicity somewhat alarming. Very well. Then let us discuss long-term arrangements. Princess Sarah will need proper accommodations, education, security, and we will need to coordinate our forces to prevent another attempt like this. They moved into detailed planning. Chen found himself included, his military experience and connection to Sarah making him relevant to discussions about security protocols. Hours passed in careful negotiation, establishing frameworks that would protect both the princess and the diplomatic relationship between species. Through it all, Sarah sat quietly, listening to adults restructure galactic politics around her existence. She asked occasional questions, usually insightful ones that made the adults pause and reconsider their assumptions. And she never once complained about being tired, despite the terror she'd endured. Eventually, Zhao called a pause. We all need rest. The Zethrak have submitted preliminary acceptance of terms. Full negotiations can wait until morning. Your Majesty, with your permission, I'd like to establish a security detail from my ship to supplement your guards overnight. Granted. And appreciated. Valora Shen looked exhausted, her alien features showing strain. Princess Sarah, we have prepared quarters for you in the secure section. They are not as elaborate as a proper royal suite should be, but they are safe and comfortable. That's okay, Sarah said. Can Uncle Marcus stay with me? I don't want to be alone. Chen started to respond, but Zhao spoke first. Actually, Sergeant, I need to debrief you on your courier run. It'll take a few hours, but I can assign someone. No. Valorishine's voice was firm. The princess has endured enough trauma. She needs family, not a stranger. Sergeant Chen, you will stay with your niece tonight. Your debrief can wait until she feels secure. Zhao looked like she might argue, then nodded. Understood. Chen, we'll debrief tomorrow. Get some rest. Guards escorted them to the quarters, a modest suite that had somehow survived the bombardment mostly intact. The rooms were clean, the bed made, the atmosphere processors humming efficiently. Someone had even provided clothes in Sarah's size. Chen helped her change into sleep clothes, settling into a routine they'd established in foster care. She brushed her teeth at a sink that was too high for her, requiring a step stool. She arranged her dress carefully on a chair, smoothing out every wrinkle. Finally, she climbed into bed, looking small in the large space. Uncle Marcus? Yeah? Are we safe now? He sat on the edge of the bed. Yeah, we're safe. The fleet is up there. The Queen's guards are outside. Nobody's going to hurt you. Bad ships hurt people today. I saw them. I know. Were they mad at me? Chen's chest tightened. No. No, they weren't mad at you. They were fighting the Queen's people over something that had nothing to do with you. You gave them a reason to stop. Because humans get mad when people hurt kids. Because humans take protecting people seriously. Especially family. He squeezed her hand. Your family, Sarah. That matters. She was quiet for a moment. I miss Mom and Dad. I know. I miss them too. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here too. Sarah closed her eyes. Within minutes, her breathing evened out, exhaustion finally claiming her. Chen sat beside the bed watching her sleep, thinking about the absurdity of everything that had happened. A 7-year-old girl had just become a princess, had just survived an orbital bombardment, had just served as the linchpin for human intervention in an alien conflict. And tomorrow she'd wake up and probably ask about breakfast like it was any other day. He must have dozed off in the chair because the next thing he knew, sunlight was streaming through the windows. Real sunlight, not the artificial kind. The bombardment smoke had cleared. Sarah was still asleep, curled up small in the large bed. Chen stood carefully, stretching cramped muscles. Through the window, he could see the palace gardens. Damaged, but not destroyed. Workers were already moving through the grounds, beginning the long process of restoration. A soft knock at the door. He opened it to find Valorashine herself, accompanied by 2 guards. Your Majesty, he straightened. I didn't expect... Is she awake? Not yet. It's early. Good. I wanted to speak with you privately. The Queen gestured, and Chen stepped into the hallway, pulling the door closed behind him. Sergeant Chen, we need to discuss your niece's future here. I understand the protection arrangement requires... That's not what I mean. Valora Shen's expression was difficult to read. The legal protection is established. But Sarah's a child who lost her parents, was placed in an inadequate foster system, and is now living in an alien palace that was bombed yesterday. This is not a situation that resolves simply. Chen waited. The Queen continued. I am offering her a home. A real one. Not just legal guardianship for diplomatic purposes, but actual family. She will have education, security, opportunities. But more than that, she will have people who care about her well-being. I made that promise to Admiral Zhao last night, and I am making it to you now. You barely know her. I know that she curtsied while her new home was burning. I know that she walked into a throne room during bombardment to fulfill protocol. I know that she asked to help rebuild before thinking about herself. The Queen's voice softened. I know courage when I see it, and I know that a child who has lost so much deserves better than what the universe has given her so far. Chen felt something tight in his chest. She's my niece, my responsibility. And you are welcome to stay. My palace is large, and I can always use good soldiers. Or you can return to your duties knowing she is protected and cared for. The choice is yours, but the offer stands regardless. He stopped. Through the door, he could hear Sarah stirring. I need to think about it. Of course. Take whatever time you need. Valora Shin glanced at the door. I should let her wake properly. But Sergeant, understand this. Destinary, she became a symbol of protection, a diplomatic tool. I won't let that be all she is. She deserves childhood, happiness, safety. I intend to provide it. The Queen left, her guards following. Chen went back inside to find Sarah sitting up, rubbing her eyes. Morning? She mumbled. Morning. How'd you sleep? Okay. I had dreams about spaceships. She looked around the room, memory returning. Oh, we're still at the palace. I thought maybe yesterday was a dream too. Nope, all real. You're a princess now. Sarah considered this. That's weird. It really is. They went through morning routines, finding breakfast delivered by palace staff who treated Sarah with careful respect. She ate quietly, processing everything. When she finished, she looked at Chen seriously.
What happens now?
That's actually a good question. The Queen wants you to stay here. For real, not just for protection. She wants to make this your actual home. What about you?
I could stay, or I could go back to my job and visit.
We need to figure out what's best. Sarah thought about it with the gravity children brought to big decisions. If you stayed, would you be happy? The question caught him off guard. I don't know. This isn't my world, Sarah. I'm a courier. I fly places and deliver things. That's what I know. But would you be happy? She pressed. Chen looked at his niece, 7 years old, and asking the questions that mattered. If you're safe and happy, then yeah, I'd be happy. Whether I'm here or visiting, if you're okay, I'm okay. Then you should go back to flying. Sarah's voice was certain. 'Cause I think I might be okay here. The Queen seems nice. And Admiral Zhao will visit, and you can visit too. But you shouldn't stop flying for me. He wanted to argue. Wanted to tell her she needed family close. Needed stability. But he looked at her face and saw something that hadn't been there in foster care. Calm.
The beginnings of healing.
You sure about this?
Not completely, she admitted.
But I think it might be good. And you can always come back if it isn't, right? Right. Always. They talked more, working through details and feelings. By the time Valorashin returned, they'd reached a tentative decision. Chen would remain for 2 weeks, helping Sarah adjust. Then, he'd return to courier duty with guaranteed visitation rights and immediate recall if Sarah needed him. The Queen accepted the arrangement without hesitation. Admiral Zhao, when informed, added that the Third Fleet would maintain periodic patrols of the system, just in case, just to remind the Zethrak that humanity kept its promises. The days that followed were strange. Sarah began her education, learning Meridian customs and languages. She attended meetings with advisors, sat in on diplomatic sessions, absorbed information with the frightening speed of childhood. And slowly the palace began to heal around her. Chen watched her adapt, watched her grow into this impossible role. She made friends with guards and advisors. She learned the palace layout. She started asking intelligent questions about governance and culture. And when the 2 weeks ended, when his shuttle waited on the repaired landing pad, Sarah hugged him tight but didn't cry. Come back soon, she said. I will. I promise. Good. She stepped back, standing straight in her new dress, hair bound in Meridian style. Because I'm going to learn so much and I want to tell you everything. He left her there, surrounded by guards and advisors, a human child who'd become the bridge between species. As his shuttle lifted off, he looked down at the palace, at the gardens already showing signs of new growth. Admiral Zhao's voice came through on the communication channel. Sergeant Chen, I wanted to catch you before you left the system. Your official debrief starts when you reach the fleet, but I wanted to say something first. Yes, Admiral? You delivered more than a letter. You delivered hope to a queen and safety to a child. That matters. Whatever happens next, remember that.
You made a difference. Just doing my job, ma'am.
No. Her voice was firm. You did exactly what we needed, exactly when we needed it. That's not just a job. That's something more. The communication ended. Chen guided his shuttle toward the waiting fleet, thinking about a 7-year-old princess and an alien queen and the strange ways the universe brought people together. Behind him, the planet grew smaller. Ahead, the stars waited, and somewhere in a rebuilt palace, Princess Sarah Chen was learning to rule.